What if the money in your wallet is technically worthless? The actual paper is worth about 14 cents. So why does everyone act like it's real? Who actually invented money? And why did one American president interrupt one of the most watched TV shows in history to casually blow up the entire global monetary system in under 10 minutes? In this video, we're going way back, 6,000 years back, tracing money from ancient Mesopotamia to Lydian gold coins, Chinese flying cash, and the wild moment the dollar stopped being backed by anything real. That dollar in your hand, the paper itself is worth almost nothing. There's no shiny metal sitting in a vault somewhere giving it value. It's just vibes. On August 15, 1971, Richard Nixon went on television interrupting Bonanza and told the world that the U.S. was officially done converting dollars into gold. And instead of the entire economy imploding, people just kept using money like normal. Money is the longest-running shared illusion in human history, and somehow it works. It's 6000 BC. You're a farmer in ancient Mesopotamia. You've got surplus wheat, but you need a clay pot. Except the pottery guy doesn't want wheat. He wants goat milk. Economists call this the double coincidence of wants. For barter to work, you need to find someone who has exactly what you need and wants exactly what you've got at the same time. Good luck. The word pecuniary comes from the Latin pecus, meaning cattle. So the next time your boss talks about your pecuniary compensation, just imagine a field of cows. Cowrie shells were used as currency across Africa, South Asia, and East Asia for thousands of years. In China, the character for money literally evolved from a drawing of a cowrie shell. By around 2500 BC, a unit called a shekel had become standard in Mesopotamia. Not a coin, a unit of weight, about 8.33 grams of silver. Merchants would weigh silver out on a scale during every single transaction. Drop a comment below. If you had to choose one thing to use as universal currency today, what would it be? Gold? Coffee? Wi-Fi passwords? I'm genuinely curious. What happens next is genuinely one of the coolest moments in economic history, and it happened in a place most people have never heard of, Lydia, a kingdom in Western Asia Minor, basically present-day central Turkey. Around 630 BCE, someone stamped a lump of electrum, a gold-silver alloy, with a lion, the Lydian Lion. The stamp said, "The king personally guarantees this chunk of metal is exactly what it claims to be. You just trusted the seal." That is the invention of the coin. The king who standardized this was King Alyattes, who ruled from roughly 619 to 560 BC. His coins came in 7 denominations, from large down to a fraction less than 1/10 of a gram, suggesting a highly monetized economy. Then his son Croesus took over, as in rich as Croesus. He introduced separate pure gold and pure silver coins and set up an international exchange rate, 10 silver staters to 1 gold stater. In 560 BC, the man was operating centuries ahead of his time. Where did all that Lydian wealth come from? The river Pactolus, which carried natural electrum. There's a Greek myth that King Midas washed his golden curse off this river. Obviously a myth, but the river did carry real electrum. Sometimes legends are just slightly exaggerated geology. The Greeks adopted coinage immediately. By the 6th century BC, city-states from southern France to the Black Sea were minting their own coins. The drachma originally had a value equivalent to a handful of arrows, which is a sentence I didn't expect to say today. Then the Romans got hold of it. Historians consider Rome the first fully monetized society. Bakers, soldiers, gladiators, all getting paid in coins. The Roman economy ran on money the way ours runs on Wi-Fi. completely dependent, completely invisible until it goes down. Coins are great, but coins are heavy. Imagine being a 9th century Chinese merchant who just sold 1,000 bolts of silk. Your payment? Thousands of copper coins. Carrying it home is basically a workout, a loud, clangy, back-breaking workout. During the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 AD, the government introduced flying cash. Merchants could deposit coins, receive a paper certificate, travel to a distant city, and redeem it there. The paper flew to where you needed it. During the Song Dynasty around 1023 AD, the world's first true government-issued paper currency, the Jiaozi, entered general circulation. Then Kublai Khan in 1260 issued paper money backed by silver, accepted across Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, and vast swaths of Asia. When Marco Polo visited China, he was so baffled he wrote an entire chapter titled "How the Great Khan Causeth the Bark of Trees Made into Something Like Paper to Pass for Money." He had to explain it to Europeans like a man describing a smartphone to someone from 1200. It took Europe until 1661 to adopt paper currency, and it was the Swedes who did it first. Their copper coins were so heavy that transporting them was physically impractical. Same problem, different continent, 800 years later. By the 1800s, most major economies had adopted the gold standard, every unit of currency tied to a fixed amount of gold in a vault. Stable, but limiting, because the amount of money was capped by how much gold you could dig out of the ground. After World War II, representatives from 44 countries gathered at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The US dollar would anchor the global economy, pegged to gold at exactly $35 per ounce. America held roughly 3/4 of the world's official gold reserves. Now it was the 1960s. America was spending massively on Vietnam and domestic programs. More dollars flowed into the world than the US had gold to back them. France began quietly converting their dollar reserves into gold, draining the U.S. supply. On the evening of August 15, 1971, Nixon interrupted Bonanza and told the world that the U.S. was officially done converting dollars into gold. Bretton Woods was done. The dollar became fiat currency, money that has value because the government says it does, and because people believe it does. Full circle. Money started as a solution to a coordination problem. Cattle and cowrie shells to weighed silver to stamped coins to paper representing gold to paper representing nothing physical at all, just trust. The entire history of money is really the history of trust. What happens when people stop trusting? Germany in the 1920s, Zimbabwe in the 2000s. When the illusion breaks, people don't just lose money, they lose everything. And now here we are with Bitcoin and thousands of cryptocurrencies arguing that maybe you shouldn't have to trust a government at all. Maybe trust can be built into math, into code. Is that the next step in a 6,000-year story? Or is it just the latest version of a very old hustle? That is a video for another day. Hit subscribe for the Bitcoin origin story, who created it, why they wanted to blow up banking, and how they vanished. And the economic collapse of Rome is right over here. Drop a comment, crypto or cash forever.